Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live, Zen Fits, or a metaphor in your toolbox. And the metaphor today is, I just wrote it on the title of this, but it is ride the bike of life. All right? So the bicycle is our metaphor for today. So I'm fired up and ready to go. We have a good topic today, one that's very important, very difficult to get a handle on or to balance on. Let's put it that way. So let's read Tolle's quote to kick us off here. Kick the kickstand out, and we're going to get on this thing and we're going to wobble along and see if we can find our balance. Here's the quote. Not all unhappiness is of the pain body. Now we're going to say the pain body to another time because that's a big part of Tolle's talks. So not all happiness is of the pain body. Some of it is new happiness. Created whenever you are out of alignment with the present moment. So we create unhappiness? Well, some of it is new happiness created whenever you are out of alignment with the present moment. When the now is denied in one way or the other. Okay. So there's two ideas here. Alignment. Now we all know what that is because if you have a car or a bike and it's out of alignment, you're going to get a wobble or a drift, or you're going to have to make effort to steer, right? I think that with alignment with a car, it seems to me that the one thing you know when your front end is out of alignment is that you're constantly having to go back, pull it back. It wants to drift. Yeah, there. And you shouldn't have, the car should stay on the road in the way it's directed. It should not drift off on its own, like a dog drifts off to smell the fire hydrant. You see, pull the dog back. You see, so this effort is a clue that you're out. Yes, your car is out of alignment. But can't we? Let's see if we can apply that same analogy to life. And now let's go back to when we learned how to ride a bicycle. Oh yes, I can't actually remember when I learned. Usually we learn before we're cataloging everything in our little database. When we're children, we are so now that we don't record everything like we do now. So what is it about riding a bike? Well, first of all, there's a trial and error. Yeah, you get on it, you fall off. You get on it, fall off. So what are we trying to do when we learn how to ride a bike? Or you could, if you want to, go to a surfboard. What is it that we're trying to do when we are learning to ride a bike that takes a discovery? Now here's the question. Do we create balance, or is balance already there and we just kind of like stumble into it? We kind of like discover what's already there. See, so the process of learning balance then is learning not to try to balance, because balance is already there. Nature's in balance. Your nature. Nature balance is there. Balance means unity, being at one with. See, so we have to discover how to become what we already are, rather than trying with a personal will. Now, why doesn't trying work? I mean, we're told to try. Try to do this, try to do that. Effort, personal effort, willpower. That's conditioned into us that you got to do that. So when it comes to balance, it doesn't seem to work, you see. So why doesn't it work? Here's a little guy here, and he's riding a mountain bike on a curvy trail, and people like mountain bikes. Why? Well, what's the difference between a mountain bike and a flat road in your neighborhood? I remember when I was a kid and we were riding bikes, we created mountain bikes. Well, I mean, we created obstacles. We created places where that challenged your balance. If you can stay balanced on a mountain bike on a trail, why is that different from just riding on a little flat road? Well, on the mountain bike trail, the trail changes rapidly in unpredictable ways, faster than you can think, because people going down the mountain, and this gets us on TV. You see, when you do that, how far can you push the envelope? So, but the idea here is that balance is being created. The now is being created when you're on a mountain bike or any extreme sport. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, this word now is Tolle's metaphor. He wrote his first book and became a well-known teacher called The Power of Now. Well, that's just a word that he coined that is a metaphor that is same to the other words that we have for the same non-thing. Another word for the now would be the Tao, or in Zen or in Buddhism it's called the Dharma, or in Taoism the Tao, in Star Wars the Force. In Christianity, the closest thing I can think of to come to it would be the Word of God. And I say the Word because that is a creative act. The Word of God is a creative act. Your word is a creative act. When you speak, that's creativity. Like right now, I'm speaking and I have no idea what I'm going to say until I say it. So this is my word. I'm creating the now. I'm creating this moment by speaking it. And I don't know what it is until I speak it. That's why I really enjoy coming here. Coming here for me is like riding a mountain bike. In the sense that I have to create this talk as I give it. And I just have a few little points, a Tolle quote here, a few little points to guide me so I don't go running off too far into the woods. So I kind of stay on the intentional trail here, but I'm balancing the moment. I'm in harmony with the moment as I speak. So in that sense, that's the word. So that is the word means, and then the cosmos has the word. So the cosmos is speaking itself, or creating itself right now. And here's where we get into a crucial point that Buddhism sinks in like an iron stake, and that is, everything is impermanent. Or, if you don't like impermanent, change. Quantum physics gets into this. Everything is change. They say everything is probability. Same thing. Everything is change. So things, and here's where this is the philosopher's stone. This is the idea that if you become this idea, everything changes. If you don't think this idea, see, there's a difference between being an idea and thinking an idea. You can entertain any idea, sit in your armchair and think about it, talk about it, write about it on Facebook, but it doesn't change anything. But when you become an idea, everything changes. So, change. Everything is change. Philosophers, so the Greek philosophers, Heraclitus, said you can't step in the same river twice. Bergson, idealist of the 18th century, said things don't change, things are change. Dogen, the Zen master, the Soto Zen master of the 12th century, spent a lot of his writings talking about time, change. We are time. We're not in time. We are time. Things don't change. Things are change. Salvador Dali's paintings were all about that. Everything is melting. Everything is flowing. Melting, melting, changing, flowing, you see. Artists know this. But our common sense reality doesn't know this. The common sense reality that we look around and say this is real is that there are things here and they're not going to change unless you make it change. So try and balance with that. You see. If this room is flowing, but I see it as being static, I'm going to try to balance with the static forms that I see, that I'm conscious of. But this is a flowing river. But it's flowing very slowly, so we don't see it. Or rapidly, so we don't see it. Either way. Just like with a movie film, you slow the old film down and you start seeing the spaces between the frames. Speed it up, it's all seamless. So we perceive the world as being static so we can survive in it. However, what we perceive can't be balanced on, because if we believe what we're conscious of is a static world that changes if I move something. The science of logic, the laws of science basically say that nothing will move unless another force pushes it. So unless something moves this, it'll just stay like that. You see. But the new worldview, the new paradigm that's coming into bloom now, is that things are changed. So we need to learn how to live in change, which means we have to learn how to balance. Because if you're going to balance on change, if you're going to balance on the river, now this is where surfing is such a great metaphor, because the surfer is balancing on change. The wave is changing and he has to balance on it. Now what is he balancing on? Is he balancing on the wave that he perceives? You see, the wave is changing. So what he is perceiving is the moment that just passed. If you look at the stars, what you're looking at is stars that have passed. Millions of years it took for the light to get here. So what you're looking at is a million-year moment. That star could have blown up by the time you're seeing yesterday. So the same way in our reality is that we're seeing yester moment, and we try to balance on that, and we fall off because the wave has already moved on. We're not balancing on the now. We're balancing on the just now, and we can't figure it out. So this is a problem of consciousness, and modern consciousness, which has lost contact with the now. Now, so let me pick up here. Everything has changed, the flowing river of now. And then, oh, by the way, getting back, do you create unhappiness? Well, if you're out of alignment with being, unhappiness is the effect of that. Unhappiness is the effect of being out of alignment. And we all know that the more you try to be happy, the more unhappy you're going to be. So trying to be unhappy is like trying to balance on a bike. You keep falling off. I can't do it. So we're missing something. We're missing something. How do you balance? Oh, this idea here, the now, the Dharma, the force, the present moment, be now. All these words are all flowing around. Non-duality. All these words are people throwing them around out there. Everybody thinks they know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. You can't know it. You can't be conscious of it. You can be it, but you can't be conscious of it. Now, why can't I be conscious of the now? Everybody, well, I'm in alignment with the present moment. I mean, I'm in alignment with this room here. The sofas are over there. I'm here. Everything's in alignment. Everything is in, oh, well, that over there, I need to pick up that. There's some trash over there. That's out of alignment. I'll get rid of that. And my table over there has got some mess on it. That's out of alignment. I'll get rid of that. But I'll restore order and put everything in alignment, you see, through effort. And that's the way we think, you know. So we think getting in alignment is creating order. So we try to create order, try to get my wife in line, try to get the dog trained, try to get my neighbor from stop interrupting my nap in the afternoon with his lawnmower. All these things are out of alignment, and I can make effort to get them in alignment, you see, and then I'll be happy. And that's kind of like the way we look at it, you see. But we're not in alignment with being, with life. We're trying to make life in alignment with my needs. So what am I trying to balance here, you see? I'm trying to balance the world to me. I'm not balancing in the world. And I don't even know how to do that, you see, because the world's changing, and I can't even see it, you see, because now here's the key. Here's the idea that you can't think about. You have to sense. Is that the now, the present moment, non-being or non-duality, God, the Word, the Tao, the Force, whatever word you want to use, the Self, Spirit, I don't care what it is transcendent. It's transcendent or beyond experience. It's beyond experience. Beyond experience is what transcendent means. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean it exists somewhere else, like an imaginary, idealistic, platonic world, you see. Transcendent doesn't mean that it's somewhere else, already existing, you see. It doesn't mean that. It means it's beyond my experience, but it exists, yet it is not something. So, see how that's a real mind bender, you see. So when I'm learning how to ride a bike, or walk a tightrope, or surf, since that's an adult bike, so to speak, you see, I am learning to be in harmony with that which is upstream of what I am conscious of. Because if I try to balance on what I'm conscious of, the form that I see, as an observer, I'm the subject, I see form. If I try to balance on that form, I'm going to fall off the surfboard, because that form is already left. I'm balancing on an idea in my mind. I'm balancing on an experience. I'm experiencing the wave, and I try to balance on that, but the wave has moved on faster than I can think. So if I balance on the experience of what I perceive, I'm balancing on what doesn't exist. The wave has moved on. So what do I balance on? Balance is, now here's something that it's really difficult to comprehend this. I don't comprehend it. But if the Word is creative, if the universe is creating itself like a fountain, and I get in alignment with that Word, with that creativity, then I create balance. In other words, balance occurs when you surrender. Now, what do I surrender in order to balance? A kid, learning how to balance on a bike requires surrendering the effort to balance. And suddenly you discover it. So you can't make it happen. You discover balance. I'm riding a bike. You never seen a kid learn how to ride a bike? There's so much joy when they're liberated from the parent holding the bike, or they get to take the damn training wheels off. I can fly. What does that mean? That means I'm alive. I'm creating balance. I'm surrendering the effort to balance, which is me wanting to balance. I got to give that up. Me wanting to balance. Me having an experience. I want to have an experience of riding a bike, so I'm trying to ride the bike so I can have the experience of riding the bike, and the experience I'm having right now is terrible because I'm not riding the bike. You see, so all this effort goes in. You have to give that up. Surrender the effort. Surrender the effort to be alive, and you become alive. Surrender the effort to be in balance, and you discover balance. Surrender the effort to be now, and you become now. Surrender the effort to be God, to find God, and you become God as the Word of God. Now, people are going to say, oh, you think you're God. No. No. But the idea here is that balance already exists, but not as we are experiencing it, but upstream of experience. Just a second upstream, and not even a second, because there's nothing upstream in time. Upstream of this moment, there is no time and space. And cosmologists say this, that the universe is creating time and space. The cosmos is expanding, and when it expands, it creates the time and space that it's in. But you can't understand this linearly. You can't understand this in a straight line, like the Big Bang is there and the end of the world is up there somewhere and I'm somewhere in the middle. No, that's a mechanical view of the world. That's very good for getting away from a tiger and building a computer. But for being in alignment in life, that linear thinking makes you fall off the bike. You can't get to balance in time. You see, you have to surrender time. You have to surrender getting to something. So this is the mind-blowing idea here, is that while the cosmos is expanding, and here again, you can't look at it as a thing like a balloon. Look more like it at a fountain. Expanding from within, a self-generating expansion that creates time and space as it changes. So getting in balance with the cosmos, getting in balance with the Dharma or the now, creates the world I'm going to live in, creates the time and space. And by getting in balance in that, I'm surrendering to this cosmic activity. So when you are creative, and you come up with an idea, a poem or a book or anything, or the solution to some enigma, that creative act is the same creative act of the cosmos creating the stars. You are the cosmos and the cosmos is you. So you are creative and the creativity is you. You are the Word. You are the Dharma. You are the now. And the now is you. But we experience it, you see, as a little me having an experience, you see. So that little subject and the object, you see, is a very small little consciousness that we live in, and we think it's the whole world. It's just a bubble on the transcendent Word of God, you see. So I think I covered it. I hope I created a good metaphor for your toolbox. Ride the bike of life. Surrender. The balance is already there. Surrender. The happiness is already there. Surrender. The alignment is already there. But you can't know it until you give it up. Like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. He comes to an abyss. He's got to get across the abyss to get to the Holy Grail, to heal his father. He's got a map and it's a code, but he doesn't understand it. It's not logical. It's a poem. And it says, I forgot what it said, but it says, step out. Nothing to step on. He steps out. and the bridge appears under his foot. Now, was the bridge there and he discovered it? Or did he create the bridge with his faith of stepping out, you see? There's a difference between discovery and creativity. Did he discover the bridge that was already there? You would think so, the way the movie presented it. Or did he create the bridge? Did he create time and space when he stepped out on faith? If you don't step out on faith, there's no surrender. So faith is surrender to not knowing. Faith that balances there. Faith that if I step out on faith, the bridge will be there. The question is it already there or did I create it? This is something that we have to discover ourselves because you just can't figure it out intellectually. Am I creating myself? Or do I already exist and I'm just discovering what already exists, you see? Is my plan already laid out and I have to discover God's plan for me? What is it? What is it? What's my plan? I spent most of my life trying to figure out what my plan was. So do I discover a path that's already laid down to me by some creator? Or maybe my parents? You know, everybody go, I want you to be an engineer, but I want to be a rock star. No, you're going to be an engineer, but I want to be a guitar player. No, you're going to be you're going to be an engineer, right? So the parent is God to the child. Is God's plan already laid out for you, or do you create it? Krishnamurti says truth is a pathless land. What does that mean? It means you create truth. You create your path by stepping out on faith, by stepping upstream of the moment, and that step, that creative act, creates the bridge, creates the path, creates the direction, creates the job, creates the Apple computer, creates your life. Or do you just try to follow and stay in balance with some imaginary plan that you think is there, and you keep trying to make that plan happen, but it won't happen. You keep falling off. I spent most of my life trying to get in alignment with a plan that I thought I was supposed to do, and I kept falling off. So I create constant dramas of being fired or falling off or whatever. Coming back up, get back on the horse, all that. So this is a discovery, a realization in life. It can't be learned. It has to be come upon. Like when you learn how to ride a bike. You suddenly just are free. I'm free. I'm free from the parents and the training wheels. So thank you for dropping in and learn how to ride that bike.